Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Looking at the put to call ratio, it's 0.56. It's not that bad. It's been that low before, and it's popped. But right now, based on what we've seen for the last 2 weeks, it's kind of in the middle. So I don't really see any significance right now as far as the put to call ratio. Looking at the economic calendar for the week, we kind of got some things going on. Monday, don't see anything. Tuesday, we get ISM manufacturing job, JOLTS job opening Tuesday at 10 a.m. So that could be kind of a market mover right there, because usually JOLTS job openings are a pretty good market mover. So Wednesday, don't really see anything. Non-farm employment change, that may move something at 8:15 Wednesday. Thursday, we got more going on. We got unemployment claims and ISM services PMI at 10 a.m. and the unemployment claims are at 8:30 a.m. Friday, we've got non-farm employment change and unemployment rate at 8:30 on Friday. So we get some things coming in this week. Then we get some earnings. The only ones, we get AMD Tuesday after hours, Caterpillar Tuesday morning, Shopify Wednesday afternoon. But the big one is Thursday after close, which is Amazon and Apple. And that would be the big one that a lot of people will be looking at. So that could definitely be something worth watching. Now, I have Apple up. And the reason I have Apple up, Apple is up here right at the weekly trend line. I know it looks like it's over, but you can draw it just a little bit more precise and it will be right at the trend line. So nothing's going to be perfect. Sometimes it likes to overshoot and undershoot, like it overshot and come back here. But the thing I want to point out is that Apple earnings is coming out and the weekly RSI is at 76. We get a bearish divergence going on the daily, which price is going higher and RSI is going lower. RSI is really high on the weekly. To me, I think that maybe the numbers won't be as good, but if they are, we could see Apple shoot over 200. But with the RSI and the being high on the weekly and the bearish divergence on the daily, I'm thinking that maybe Apple will miss and it will drop on earnings. But does not mean go out and buy puts that it will work like that, because anything can happen. Earnings is a crapshoot. Indicators don't matter. I'm just making an observation based on that. So we'll have to see what happens with Apple and earnings. So if Apple does manage to go, we could see 200, 210 on Apple pretty quickly. But the RSI levels are going to be off the chains. But look at NVIDIA. I didn't want to jump around to NVIDIA, but NVIDIA had high RSI down here, remember? Right here, it was pretty much the same as Apple, and they still took off. So doesn't mean anything when you see and this bearish divergence going on back over here too. So, but that was after the earnings, though. But I don't think, a little bit of a bearish divergence going on right here before earnings. So yeah, pretty much the same scenario as Apple. NVIDIA, but I don't know if Apple will have a earnings beat or not. We'll have to see. But since I have NVIDIA up, I would watch NVIDIA underneath, let's see, we'd say 460. I still think it's going to end up dropping. There's still so many candles outside the calendar channel. It does not like living outside of it, even though it has been for a couple months. Eventually it'll come back in. Right now it's got a strong trend line right here, but it gets underneath 460, even say 465, 460, push to 450, 445, 440, 435, 430. Basically every $5, you get a gap fill right here at 425, 420. Then you get the 400, which will be a big psychological number. So definitely keep an eye on NVIDIA dropping right there. So I don't usually start out with anything beforehand, but I just had Apple up, and then I had to, use an NVIDIA as a reference. So just make sure I don't cover them again. Now, the thing I want to look at is we have Apple and Amazon earnings coming up, some data coming out, and we are back right near the 13. VIX is a coiled spring. It does not like being compressed down, and the fact that it's been compressed down this much right here, this is what happened right over here. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can pretty much count them. Even this little spike right here, which was this spike right here, it dropped down, then it popped. We're going to see, I think we're going to see the same scenario right here. We'll just blow this up. We got this scenario right here forming right here. So I think we could end up seeing the same thing. We could see a major pop on VIX this week. It does not like being under 13. There's so much going on in the world. VIX shouldn't even be under 15. I mean, you got the thing that's happening in Moscow lately. Then you have the weapons being sent to Taiwan. Then you have Hunter Biden's bullshit. Then you get all this other things going on. VIX should not be where it's at. There's too much going on in the world for even justify VIX being under 15, let alone down to 13. So there's so much stuff going on. We're going to see something this week. What it will be, we have no idea. But yeah, I think we're going to see a pop this week. What it will be, it's anyone's guess. So SPY. Right now, I mean, weekly, it's right at this 460 area. It's rejecting. It got close to it, rejected harshly. They tried to go back up to it. So made an inside candle. Weekly RSI is above 70, but that doesn't mean anything. It was above 70 right here. It went up a little bit, pulled back, and just kept climbing. So to me, if it gets over 460, we're probably going to see probably a strong push to 465 to 470. And I mean, at this point, if it gets to 470, you might as well just go to all-time high, go to 480. But with everything that's going on in the world, I mean, never say never. You think that the market has to drop. The market could end up just having a crazy push, blow the top off push, and before it actually pulls back, who knows? But VIX is way too low. Something's going to happen. The question is, what is it going to be? This was the after effect of FOMC, and Friday didn't really do much of anything. So, but I'm more looking towards the actually I'll be looking for both sides of the of this play. I mean, over 460 and under 455. It gets into 455, 450 right here. And then you got the 445, which is going to be gap support. And we get a gap right here under 445, 440, 435. Basically every $5 for SPY, 430, 425. We get lots of room. How far are we going to pull back? I don't know, but I'm thinking right here, if it does pull back, 430 will probably be the number. You get the middle Keltner channel and the RCT trend line on the weekly right there. So that would probably be a pretty big area. What is that? Yeah, 430, which is right here. So that lines up for right down here. Who knows? But like I said, with all the stuff that's going on in the world, SPY could ignore it and just keep, pushing along and not caring about anything. But eventually it's going to care. And when it does, it's probably going to be a pretty good sized rug pull on SPY. So definitely keep an eye on that. I don't usually cover Home Depot that much, but the thing I want to kind of look at Home Depot is that it's got like a quadruple top here. I mean, probably more so. 1, 2, 3 fake out right there. 4, 5 fake out right there. So I think, if it gets over this high of what, we'll round up and say 334, that we could have a push to 340, and then 345. I did fill the gap right there. You can see the wick. It filled that gap. So 345, gets over 345, could see 350, 355, 360. So I think that, we could see a move out of Home Depot. So definitely keep an eye on that. That's something worth watching. It's starting to look pretty perky. It's kind of, the RSI is kind of high on the daily, but I mean it could chop up here and stay right around this 330 level for a day or two and have the RSI drop. It's still got quite a bit to go on the weekly. I mean look at the right here. I mean it was overbought right here, then had inside candles and on the weekly, then it took off. So that doesn't really matter. You gotta, just because it's overbought on the weekly doesn't mean it will drop, because NVIDIA proved that. So that's the point I was trying to make with Apple, that even though it's oversold on the weekly RSI, it doesn't mean anything, or even daily RSI doesn't mean anything. It can chop and go sideways, and the RSI will cool off and give it more room to run. So definitely keep an eye on that. Tesla, definitely keep an eye on Tesla. I mean, I'm kind of looking at it both directions right here. I mean, if it gets over this 270 area, I think that we're going to see a pretty big push to 275, 280, which is going to be gap resistance, and you get a gap fill between 280 and 290, so which was an earnings drop. And then again, we'll also be watching it from the downside. It gets underneath 260, and can get a push to 255, and if it gets 255, 250, then 240. Get a little bit of a gap right here, right underneath 240, right around in the 238 area. So we could see a gap fill right here. So we get gaps on both sides to fill on Tesla, but you know the RSI has cooled down quite a bit. You get a divergence going on. Well, practically divergence was right there, so I did actually make it drop, but it is holding the RCT trend line, but it's underneath the middle calendar channel, which is the 20 EMA. It is underneath that. Usually it's bearish when it's underneath it, but it could try to pop. So Tesla will be watching that in either direction. NVIDIA I've already pretty much covered. Let's see. Meta is just going crazy. I mean, RSI is in the 80s still. Bearish divergence going on for a long time. Even greater now after we've had this push drop and it's back up. It's just more defined. The weekly is just so overextended. But like I said, I mean, RSI, I mean, the divergence can last for a long, long time. Like right here, it started to diverge a little bit right there when it was right here. And it just kept going and going and going. So, but I mean, this is gonna cool off eventually. I mean, it can get a push to 350, but I'm not interested in calls on that on Meta anyway. So, but you know, I'd watch it underneath 320 for a push to 310, gap fill right there from earnings to 300. Then you got this area right here, 290, 295. So definitely keep an eye on that for Meta. Microsoft just does not like 350. I mean, it overshot. It had a strong push off from the AI news, and then it just sold off. It's not doing that well over 350, but it's like staying in this channel. It's in this channel of 350 and 330, and I would watch it underneath 330, or you could even say underneath 335 for push to 330, and it does break that 330. It's going to have a pretty significant drop. We get a gap fill down here around the 290 area, but I don't imagine we're going to get that far unless there's a major sell-off in the market or something really bad happens. But underneath 335 to 330, you get 325 and 320. You have a little bit of a gap right here at 315, so 317. So 315 would be the next area on that. So definitely keep an eye on that. The weekly does not look too good on Microsoft, but with VIX being low and things starting to look toppy, and extreme greed on the MSN calendar or whatever you want to call it. The last one, I don't usually look at that often, but I thought I'd point it out, is John Deere. This is starting to look interesting because it just keeps bouncing off this 450 area. It rejected it here, got here, rejected it, got here, rejected it, come up here and rejected again. If you watch the over the weekend, Yellow Truck's pretty much going out of business, and it's not doing too good for transport. So this agricultural, John Deere and Caterpillar, they end up doing pretty good with. Is Caterpillar having their Earnings, I don't know when Caterpillar's earnings is. I think they already had it. I'll have to check. Let's see. Check to see if they had it or not. No, they're going to have it, I think. Yeah, I think I said that at the beginning of the video. Where did I see that? Yeah, Caterpillar on Tuesday AM. So this might be a good sympathy from Caterpillar. If Caterpillar does well, the John Deere will probably do too. I'm looking at it from the point of view that this thing gets over 450, and especially if Caterpillar has good earnings, this thing could really take off. So I would watch John Deere. I mean, you can even see over 430. Get over 430 for a push to 450. And it gets over 450, we could see a strong push to 460. So John Deere, when it does break out, it usually has a strong move. So definitely keep an eye on that. So that's going to do it for the watch list. And hopefully this week will be a good week, and we'll have some actually volatility and not a choppy week. Because this the last couple weeks, a few weeks, SPY has been very narrow ranges, and I don't like that. Hopefully we'll get some volatility. So that's going to do it for the watch list. Thanks for watching.